This video is brought to you by the historic Blacksmith Conservancy, dedicated to the collection, preservation, and advancement of historically significant blacksmiths and their practice. I have all the holes in these long bars punched. They're all very close. They may need a little filing, a little tweaking just before final assembly, but I'll do that when I have the tenons done and make sure the tenons fit the holes. That's the most important thing. I also took the time to neck down and swedge a section up here towards the top of the bar. That's where the hinge will go, and we'll take a look at exactly how that's going to work and how that was done in a separate video. Right now that doesn't matter, I just needed to get that done as part of forging these bars. Next step though is to forge the scrolls that go on top of these bars. That's these tight spiral scrolls. There's one on each side of the gate. I'm allowing 6 inches of material to draw this out. It's about 3/8 thick right here at the base where I start drawing out. And I'm drawing this out to about 28 inches. I'll get an exact measurement as we get closer. Make sure I've got that dimension correct so that I can get a scroll that looks very close to this. The big thing is the scroll on one side matches the scroll on the other side, more so that it matches this sample. Now this is a little problematic. These bars are 79 inches long, so that's longer than I am tall. And I'm going to have to not only draw it out, which won't be too hard under the power hammer, but generally when you're doing a scroll, you move the scroll material and the hammer angle to adjust things and get the strike just where you want it. You want to be able to tip the scroll sideways and put it in a bending fork either at the anvil or at the vise. But these bars are just going to be too awkward and heavy. I don't think I have room in this small shop to swing a 80-inch long bar. By the time I get these drawn out, they're going to be much longer than that, to try and work them in a bending fork at the vise or at the anvil. So this is all going to have to be supported by stands and worked fairly flat. I can rotate it 90 degrees. So it'll be a lot of work with bending forks and scroll tongs. I may have to make a new bending fork that fits in here. I don't have one that's real small, but we'll see what we need. If I have to do that, we'll stop and do that. So without further ado, let's get to work. I'd like to take this moment and thank the Historic Blacksmith Conservancy for sponsoring today's project and being a part of this larger gate project. The Historic Blacksmith Conservancy is a nonprofit organization dedicated to collecting works and information about historically significant blacksmiths. And this gate, being inspired by Sam Yellin, is the kind of thing they're trying to encourage. The Historic Blacksmithing Conservancy will help blacksmiths take their work to the next level, get beyond the ordinary everyday items so many of us make, and start looking at work that is of more traditional nature, more advanced techniques, more advanced designs, and just things on a grander scale. And that doesn't have to be something as big as a gate. Window grills and small ornamental pieces can have all of this detail in it too. And it's the kind of thing that I'm looking for more in my own personal journey as a blacksmith. If you're interested in this kind of work, the historical work, you want to see more of what's going on, you'd like to support this project, there will be a link down in the video description for the Historic Blacksmith Conservancy so you can get involved yourself. Also be a link to their Instagram page. But for now, let's get back to our project. Now, I did stop and take a break, took a day to make some really small bending forks. I think this is going to make doing these scrolls a little easier, because I'm not going to be able to maneuver the long bar the way I would a shorter bar. I can stand this up and that really helps me work the scroll, or work it this way, put it on a bending fork, bend around, go to the vise with a bending fork. All of that makes doing scrolls a lot easier and gives you lots more options. But these long bars just aren't going to be easy to maneuver that way. I'm going to have to leave them on the anvil this way, and I can rotate them, but I'm not going to be able to really do much of this kind of stuff. A little bit maybe. I mean, they aren't impossible to lift. I can easily lift them with one hand, but they're balanced way to the far end, and if I come back here to lift the bars, I can't really work it that way. So I got to be working up here, and there's a whole lot of leverage back there, so I don't think I'm going to be able to do that much. Let's find out. Well, those scrolls were way tougher to do on bars that are 80 inches plus when you're starting the scroll, a little bit less when you're finished with the scroll. I think that finishes out to 77 inches from the base of the bar to the top of the scroll. But I am pretty happy with them. Both scrolls look pretty similar. They aren't exactly perfect, but I don't really want them to be. As I examine more of the work that came out of the Yellin shop and I look at things, there are irregularities. From a distance, everything looks good and symmetrical, but as you look at things close, they all have a little bit of life of their own. Each element is its own piece, its own forging, and they aren't all exactly the same. And that really is in the spirit of what this project's all about. So I'm okay with that. Now, the process of doing the scroll will be heavily edited. It took me about an hour to do that. I'm not going to include all of that in this video. Without all the heating time, it might have been more like a half an hour, but I will share that over on Patreon. It's really just the stuff that was cut out to make this video better on YouTube. So if you would like to see that and you're not a paid Patreon member, Patreon has a new feature that allows you to pay a little bit to watch individual posts. And I haven't tried that yet, so I think this will be the first time I try that. I don't know if I'll ever do it again or not. It sounds like it might just be a gimmick, but I'm gonna go ahead and try it, and I will price this as low as I can just to try that feature out. If you really wanna see it, you can go over there. On the other hand, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, that would be great too. But anyways, if you want to see all the fiddling and the fussing and maybe hear some grumbling and cussing under my breath as I work on that, that's where you're going to find that. But for everything else, all the important parts of the project are right here on YouTube. You don't have to go to Patreon to see it. You're not really losing out on anything. It's just a little bit longer cut of what you've already seen. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank the Historic Blacksmith Conservancy for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to check them out if you're interested in supporting their project. There's a link down below in the video description. In the meantime, I hope you have time in your day to get into your shop, make something, stay safe, wear your safety glasses. We'll see you for the next video.